to announce the arrest of 3 people in the deadly shooting of Charles Jones, also known by his stage name of Julio Foolio. Furthermore, it was found that the shooters are members of or affiliated with rival gangs of Jones that go by ATK and 1200.
Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Walk back to me.
Hands up. Keep your hands up. Hands up. Don't reach for your waist. Do not reach for your waist. Look at me. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Keep walking. Keep walking. Now turn around. Put your hands behind your back.
So Yungeen Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. Have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing about it.
So finally, it looks like things are really heating up with the Julio Foolio situation. Last month, as everyone probably knows, the big news in hip-hop was Julio Foolio's tragic death, which happened right after he celebrated his birthday. Since then, things have been pretty wild. Julio's Instagram account stayed active, and his rival, Yungeen Ace, has been dropping diss tracks left and right. Honestly, there's been so much information flying around that it's been hard to keep up. But one thing that was clear, though, was that the cops were taking this case very seriously. They were all over the media, making it clear that arrests were definitely on the way. And now, a month later, they've announced that they've made arrests in connection with the shooting that K-worded Julio Foolio. They've arrested 3 people so far and are closing in on 2 more.
These individuals took extreme measures to try to cover their actions, but they were no match for our investigators.
On Monday, the Tampa Police Department held a press conference where they revealed that Isaiah Chance, 21, Alicia Andrews, 21, and Sean Gathright, 18, have been charged with first-degree M. These arrests were made in Jacksonville.
Isaiah Chance, Alicia Andrews, Sean Gathright, Davion Murphy, and Rashard Murphy are all accused.
Back up. Back up. Back up. All right, go to your knees. Put your hands behind your back.
The cops also released new footage from the shooting that took place on June 23rd. In the footage, you can see several masked gunmen moving around the Tampa Holiday Inn parking lot, taking positions in the bushes, and firing dozens of rounds into the vehicle carrying Julio.
And they are shooting at Charles now, and you can see that he's the passenger in that car that's moving and trying to flee. And again, they're still shooting at him. He's the right front passenger in that vehicle.
He was in town for his 26th birthday, which turned out to be one of his final moments. From what we know, Julio and his crew had been kicked out of their Airbnb for breaking the occupancy limit and ended up at the Holiday Inn. The police say the gunmen followed their every move that night.
Surveillance video was critical in this investigation, as suspects were seen on video following Jones from location to location.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. It turns out Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews are a couple, and were even arrested together. Isaiah Chance, who goes by the rap name Zay Gouda, isn't a mainstream artist but has some local fame in Jacksonville.
Sounds scary. Keeping you on my life is heavy. I'm in love when it's scary. Sometimes be feeling we're making it.
Interestingly, his music video from the night Julio was K-worded actually had a scene that seemed to foreshadow the events. As for Alicia Andrews, she was one of the many women with Julio on his Instagram Live that night. It's said she was the one who tipped off the other 2 about Julio's location.
Appreciate everybody popping out for my birthday, you know what I'm saying?
Happy birthday!
Everybody got their song, put their song in the air, man. Okay, David. Everybody take that shit on 3, man. 1, 2.
Also during the press conference, things took a twist. The police revealed that ATK, a rival gang, was responsible for Julio Foolio's death. They dropped names like ATK and 1200, another gang affiliated with ATK, and of course, Yungeen Ace.
Furthermore, it was found that the shooters are members of or affiliated with rival gangs of Jones that go by ATK and 1200. Detectives believe that the ATK and the 1200 worked together to target Jones as part of an ongoing feud in Jacksonville.
This isn't surprising to many because Yungeen Ace had dropped several diss tracks after Julio's death, and his lyrics seemed to hint at his involvement. But Yungeen Ace might not be out of the woods yet because besides the fact that the cops have their sights set on him, it is also a known fact that ATK members have snitched on him before.
So 4 of y'all got locked up, and one person told?
Nah, look, listen. One person told, but they ain't tell on. They told on me, they told on me.
And if they do it again, this could lead to a major RICO case, potentially putting Yungeen Ace behind bars for life if the investigation digs deep enough. Now, to really understand why the ATK gangs are involved and how Julio Foolio ended up in this situation, we need to dig deeper. So back in 2021, there was a song that everyone on social media couldn't stop talking about, Who I Smoke by Yungeen Ace. This track didn't just make waves, it shed light on one of the deadliest rap feuds brewing for years in Jacksonville, Florida. These Jacksonville rappers had this unique style of dropping clues about revenge killings in their music videos, often using beats from classic pop songs and layering them with some of the most sinister lyrics. Yungeen Ace and his crew took Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles, flipped it completely, and filmed the video on a posh golf course, smoking cigars and dancing while the lyrics celebrated the deaths of Foolio's crew from North Jacksonville. Who I Smoke went viral almost instantly, racking up 16 million views in just a month and getting reactions from all the big influencers online.
Who I smoke. Say it.
No! Hey, Foolio, come get this.
I've seen. Just, you know why? They ain't show one gun in the video. But the way they seem to be just nonchalantly enjoying life while clowning and die?
With such a bold move from Yungeen Ace, Foolio felt the need to hit back even harder. Foolio took a classic Fantasia song, remixed it, and for the music video, he printed out a massive poster of two of Ace's friends and his blood brother who had died beside Ace in a drive-by shooting outside a Japanese steakhouse. Ace was the only survivor in that car attack.
Who I Smoke came out of nowhere, went crazy, kind of made it more mainstream to where people who don't even know y'all, they were tapped into it.
How I took it too far when they made a song first. Speaking, once the dead get involved, it's already too far.
From that point on, Foolio's crew and Yungeen Ace's crew began a back and forth of diss tracks aimed squarely at each other, each song embedded with hidden messages and taunts. Now, let's set the scene in Jacksonville, Florida, the biggest city in the continental US by land area. Florida's always been a major player in the rap scene, but Jacksonville didn't really make it to the mainstream until these viral diss tracks between two rival crews put it on the map. On one side, you've got Yungeen Ace leading the ATK gang, which mainly runs the west side of Jacksonville. On the other side, there's Foolio, the head of KTA, also known as K Them All. KTA is an alliance between Foolio's gang from the north side and another crew called Young and Reckless from the south side. Yungeen Ace, whose real name is Kayontah Bullard, was actually born in Chicago and is one of 12 brothers. Growing up without a father figure since his dad was in prison, Ace moved around a lot with his single mom before they finally settled in Jacksonville. Ace looked up to his uncle, but when his uncle passed away when Ace was just 14, he turned to the streets to cope with his pain and anger. This is where he found his passion for music and formed his crew, ATK. He started releasing music in 2014, but it wasn't until 2018 that he really began to gain traction with songs like No Witness, All In, and Find Myself. His raw and real lyrics quickly earned him a strong online following. Foolio, on the other hand, always had a knack for rapping but didn't take it seriously until he dropped out of school in the 9th grade. Without money for studio time, he hustled hard to make things happen. In 2015, he started gaining attention with songs like Coming Up, which helped him start booking shows and earning money from his music. He branded himself with his crew, KTA, and over the next few years, his popularity in Florida's music scene skyrocketed. The beef between Yungeen Ace and Foolio kicked off around 2017 over what both sides say was a misunderstanding. It's a bit murky on what exactly happened, but it quickly escalated from a simple disagreement to a full-blown war. What makes this feud even more tragic is the number of mutual friends both sides had. While Ace and Foolio were never exactly tight, they shared friends like Queso. Queso, who is currently locked up with his father on charges for 2M, including the K-wording of Foolio's blood brother Bibby, played a significant role in the beef. After Bibby's M, Queso infamously wore Bibby jerseys and took photos like trophies. He even released an album in 2019 with images of his dead rivals on the cover. like a twisted Mount Rushmore of fallen enemies. Jacksonville police, or JSO, are notorious for not solving cases. In fact, 70% of M in the city go unsolved. This led to the online catchphrase, JSO loves KSO, because KSO blatantly broadcasts his actions on social media. Despite this, all of KSO's songs have millions of views on YouTube, and he was even close with King Von. KSO even appeared in that infamous video where Quando Rondo and King Von were joking around before their tragic fallout.
Dirty ass!
But back in Jacksonville, KSO had built quite a reputation for his ruthless behavior. One of his most infamous stunts was trying to organize a real-life teen deathmatch with his own cousins, who were part of the rival gang KTA.
What's up? Where you at?
Come on, I do a team deathmatch.
Right now?
Y'all two versus us two. Look at my cousin.
One of these cousins was Lil 9. Just a month after their heated online exchange, Lil 9 was ambushed while leaving a gas station. He was shot 12 times by a rifle from another car, causing his vehicle to crash into a nearby tire shop. Tragically, Lil 9 was pronounced dead at the scene. While people at the tire shop were desperately trying to revive him, Lil 9's friend, who had been with him during the attack, was frantically walking around the store, filming the aftermath.
You played. Played.
KSO wasted no time responding with a video, laughing at the situation. To make things even more twisted, KSO's blood brother, who was also Lil 9's cousin, recreated the gruesome scene from the tire shop in a video.
Get out! Get out!
Y'all played. Y'all played. Y'all played.
60 days later, KSO dropped a music video where he put a photo of his own deceased cousin, Lil 9, in a microwave.
The biggest step of them all. Biggest.
The craziest part of this whole feud is that all these guys were once friends. KSO met Yungeen Ace in the 9th grade, and they had been tight ever since. But Foolio likes to remind KSO that back in 2015, he used to hang out with them and even had the nickname 6 Block KSO because of his affiliation with Foolio's gang, 6 Block. Even Yungeen Ace admitted he was a fan of Foolio's music before their beef got out of control. But a series of unfortunate events forced everyone to pick sides quickly. It all came to a head at a block party in South Jacksonville, which was in Y&R territory. A crew led by Y&R Mookie and his right-hand man Slugga T. Ace and his gang showed up to the party and got into an argument with Y&R's leader, Mookie. Shots were fired, and a bullet grazed Mookie. Slugga T fired back, but Ace and his crew managed to escape, leaving the situation tense and volatile. To make matters worse, Mookie was already friends with Foolio's cousin, which made it easy for Y&R and Foolio's gang to form an alliance under the name KTA, or K Them All, with a shared enemy, Yungeen Ace and his crew ATK. The situation in Jacksonville was getting worse, with the M rate climbing year after year. In 2017, Yungeen Ace dropped the song Go to War, which was pretty much an open challenge to anyone opposing ATK. Not long after, Ace's home got shot up, signaling that things were about to get really intense. But the real tipping point came a few months later. One of Ace's friends went out looking for revenge after he got robbed. He knew exactly where the robber was staying, at Foolio's cousin's house on the west side of Jacksonville. Determined to get payback, he snuck into the house by throwing a brick through the sliding door and entering from the back. He started shooting with no mask and no gloves, aiming for the robber, but instead ended up K-wording Foolio's cousin Zion and wounding a 9-year-old girl. This tragic incident marked the real beginning of the war between ATK and KTA. Zion's death was a catalyst that set off a chain of retaliations.
According to witnesses, Thomas broke out a sliding glass door, walked inside, and began shooting, hitting a 9-year-old and a teenager. 15-year-old Zion Brown died at the hospital. Investigators believe Thomas was not alone when he shot Brown and 2 children.
Not long after Zion's death, his sister was shot 14 times in an attempt to prevent her from testifying in court. Miraculously, she survived. The friend of Yungeen Ace who did the shooting was eventually sentenced to life in prison, but this was just the beginning of the violence. With Foolio's cousin being the first to die in this beef, KTA was looking to make a swift and powerful statement of revenge. Ace's music career was starting to gain serious traction around this time. His new song, F That, was getting millions of views on WorldStar in just a few days, and fans were already comparing him to NBA YoungBoy. Then, just a week later, tragedy struck.
Young men were in this car when they were shot. The vehicle pulled up to their Chevy sedan, opened fire, then took off. And one is in critical condition at the hospital.
It was a Tuesday in June 2018. Ace, his brother, and two friends were headed to Wasabi, a Japanese steakhouse, to celebrate his friend's 18th birthday. Everyone was in high spirits, taking photos and enjoying the evening, but they had no idea that they were being watched the whole time. Rivals had found out their location through Ace's Instagram story, where he posted photos outside the steakhouse and even recorded his friends eating inside. Their enemies waited outside, watching them, and then followed them as they left the restaurant and drove along the highway. When they reached a red light, the shooters opened fire on the passenger side of Ace's car, Kay wording his two best friends and his brother, and leaving Ace in critical condition. It was a quadruple shooting, and the news spread quickly. Foolio got word before anyone else and mistakenly thought Ace was dead.
Them boy lost the Fortnite match. Still coming up, man. Cold summer alert, man. 2-3 pack, man. Ace pack.
Of course, Yungeen Ace managed to survive that brutal attack, but it left him devastated, losing his brother and two best friends.
I got a red light. All you heard was that. And when that bitch hit my hand, I dropped my phone. He called by my real name. He's like, Kayontah, I can't move. Kayontah, I can't move. Kayontah, I can't move. Like, just hearing that, I can't move. That shit my mind up. Like, that shit all day.
Despite the tragedy, the attention he was getting started to boost his career. Even NBA YoungBoy reached out to him via FaceTime to collaborate on a song. This motivated Ace to create his biggest hit ever, Pain, which blew up and now has over 60 million views on YouTube. However, the violence didn't stop. Every time Ace released a new track, his rival, YNR Mookie, would drop a diss track with the same title, turning the feud into a deadly musical back and forth. The situation got so intense that the Jacksonville police had to step in. They created a special unit called the Violence Reduction Strategy Team, dedicated to analyzing music videos from both sides, looking for any clues. The assistant chief even mentioned in an interview that the music wasn't just for entertainment, it was real and deadly serious. In February 2019, things took another tragic turn. Foolio's little brother Bibby became the next target. Bibby was only 16 years old and was coming home from school, just hanging out in his own neighborhood at the Hilltop Apartments on the north side of Jacksonville. He was chilling on a gazebo in the courtyard with a friend, both of them looking at their phones. Suddenly, gunfire erupted. The boys dropped their phones and ran in different directions, desperately trying to find cover. In just 15 seconds, 60 rounds were fired. Bibby was K-worded instantly. A year later, court documents were unsealed, revealing that the police had named K-So as the gunman responsible for Bibby's M. According to the documents, K-So and his crew had been circling the complex for hours, waiting for the right moment. When they finally saw Bibby, they sprang into action, unleashing a barrage of Draco rounds. K-So allegedly walked up to Bibby, who was on the ground trying to shield himself from the gunfire, and executed him at close range before fleeing the scene in a gray Nissan. Adding insult to injury, K-So had a habit of wearing Bibby jerseys and posting photos on his Instagram celebrating the M as if it were some kind of trophy. This kind of behavior only fueled the hatred and violence between the rival gangs. For Foolio, losing his brother and his cousin in such a short span of time was a massive blow. The grief was overwhelming, but 2019 also marked a pivotal year for his music career. He was dropping hits that were racking up millions of views one after another, all independently. Foolio was becoming a significant name in Florida, yet he hadn't quite reached the level where he could tour the country solo. Meanwhile, his rival Yungeen Ace was booking shows across multiple states. Just a month after Foolio's brother was unalived, Ace had a performance at a nightclub in Waycross, Georgia. After the show, Ace and his crew headed back to their hotel to chill by the pool. Out of nowhere, an SUV pulled up, and a group of guys jumped out, guns blazing. K-So was there with Ace, and he didn't hesitate for a second to shoot back. During the shootout, K-So's friend Rallo was K-worded by the pool. What made things even more messed up was that only Ace's side got arrested for firing back, while the other gunmen vanished without a trace. K-So didn't hold back in his song Been Dead with lyrics that went, "Should've offed me and Waycross," and "They hopped out with the K's. Me and Scotty bussing back were on the same page." This was the same music video where he notoriously put a photo of his cousin Lil 9 in the microwave. Fast forward a month after dropping that track, and K-So found himself arrested for a completely different M, alongside his father, who was charged as an accessory after the fact. The story goes that they were avenging a diss by a rival rapper named KTA Lil Buck. Buck had dissed K-So's older brother, who died in a brutal ambush. 2 cars had rolled up on a van full of K-So's relatives, blocking them off and spraying 100 bullets into the vehicle. This feud was beyond personal. It was a vicious cycle of revenge that seemed never-ending. Lil Buck was more than just a fellow rapper to Foolio, he was a close friend, and his death was a devastating blow. ATK allegedly got the drop on Buck, rolling up on him at 11 in the morning while he was applying for a job. It was a calculated assassination. Afterward, K-So posted on his Insta story bragging, "I K a dude, then get my toes done."
Receiving a pedicure with the caption, N-word, then go get my toes done.
This wasn't the first hit to happen at a job site. Another rapper, Jump Out, who had beef with Yungeen Ace and ATK, was K-worded while waiting in line to apply for a job at an Amazon warehouse. This incident inspired the infamous line in Who I Smoke, where they rap. Found out where he was working and clocked him out. The war between these crews had escalated to a point where no one was safe, no matter where they were. Shootings could happen anytime, anywhere. Foolio had lost a dozen friends to either death or prison. Mookie and Slugga T were behind bars, and even Foolio's girlfriend had been shot in the head.
I was dead. Y'all ain't underscored this yet, boy.
Yungeen Ace is still carrying a bullet casing from that quadruple shooting outside the Wasabi Steakhouse. Then, the hip-hop community was rocked by the tragic news of Foolio's death. It was a harsh wake-up call about the dangers of gang violence. Foolio had survived 4 attempts on his life in the past 4 years, but the 4th one tragically ended his life. He was K-worded while celebrating his birthday, a stark reminder of the relentless cycle of violence. This feud is like a vicious merry-go-round that no one can get off, and unfortunately, it has claimed yet another promising artist.